Let's Queer Up the USA View, celebrating Women's Equality Day, a legacy of progress and future hope. Today, August 26th, marks Women's Equality Day, commemorating the monumental achievement of women's suffrage, and lesbians and queer women are front and center in this celebration. The day celebrates the ratification of the 19th century amendment in 1920, which granted women the right to vote in the U.S., a milestone in the global struggle for gender equality. The journey toward this landmark decision began in the early 19th century when women who were denied prosperity rights and equal wages started advocating for political representation. By the early 1900s, nations like Finland, New Zealand, and the UK have already extended voting rights to women. In the US, however, the 19th Amendment faced significant hurdles until women's pivotal contributions during World War I highlighted the inconsistency of denying them democratic rights while fighting for them abroad. The turning point came in 1920 when the amendment was ratified after Tennessee's crucial vote. It was influenced by a heartfelt plea from the mother of a young state representative named Harry T. Byrne. This day was later designated as Women's Equality Day by Congress in 1971. 2024 is turning out to be the central for women's equality. Women's health rights has become a major issue in the states across the country after the Supreme Court overturn of Rowe. The Paris Olympics just finished reporting that for the first time in history, women's participation was parity with men. The DNC just finished as we look forward to making history again. Kamala Harris, Vice President and 2024 presidential candidate, could become the first female president of the U.S., a testament to the enduring impact of the women's suffrage. Harris is a longtime and major supporter of LGBTQ+ rights, especially focusing on women and children. And, what can you say about women's rights? I mean, it's been over 100 years now, and women's rights have paved the way for broader conversations that we're having today, with LGBTQ+ rights and other marginalized communities. So it's very important, when you look at from the perspective is that, as a country, we've been here 248 years, or if you're a Native American, it's like 500+ years. And it's only been in the last 100 years that we've just started to see this type of change within the country. So we're still pretty fragile, I think.
Yeah.
As we can see.
Yeah.
What's going on.
We are. I mean, women are, I think everybody at the table will agree, the first marginalized group ever in life,
Right.
And, as long as women face discrimination, harassment, inequality, right, oppression, then we all will. That's just the bottom line. The reality is that only 50 years ago, I needed Dale to sign for me to have a bank account.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, just 50 years.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2024, and I still don't have the right to choose over my reproductive decisions.
Yeah.
So it's weird to celebrate this today and then be aware of just how we haven't gotten so far, And then in other aspects we have, right? Kamala.
Yes.
From the White House itself, they had released a proclamation saying for Women's Equality Day, 104 years ago, American women won the right to vote with the ratification of the 19th Amendment, bringing us closer to living up to our nation's most fundamental values of dignity, fairness, freedom, and equality. On Women's Equality Day, we recognize the courage of generations of visionaries who fought tirelessly for the sacred cause of women's suffrage and all those who continue to work forward and for more equitable futures for women and girls in America. And again, it's just being seen, right? But from the White House, when the White House does things like that, it just reminds us that we are seen, regardless of race, religion, or anything else, But it's still a stark reminder as to how much further we still need to go.
I love that they talked a lot about suffrage at the DNC. They made a big deal because of the timing of the calendar timing of it, and wearing white to symbolize suffrage. So that visibility is super important.
Yeah.
The reminder that we've come this far, and yet we're trying to be, there's voting again, because there's one party that's trying to take us back and to the time when you had just addressed, when you could vote, or, or you couldn't have a bank account, or, you have no body autonomy. So voting again is super important, and since suffrage is about voting, it's again pointing to that.
It reminds me, because I was talking to an aunt of mine recently, and like we were talking about when she was married and blah blah blah, and I was like, and she had an abusive husband, and I said, but Thea, why didn't you leave him? And she said, I could not open up a bank account on my own. So for me to leave him and try to find a job and try to do all that on my own with kids, it was just impossible to do.
Literally impossible.
Literally impossible. So you're right. We have made remarkable strides, and we must never forget the history, because they keep on trying to take us back to it, right? So we must never forget. So the moments like this, it's good to just stop and focus and say, okay, we've come this far. Let's keep looking to the future.